want to play on a shoe circuit team, if you want to be a Division I athlete, or a Division II athlete. Now, Division III, you can play for just about most AAU teams, but you're not going to get the exposure that you will get if you're playing for, say, an Under Armour, Nike, or Adidas team, which those teams, they are sponsored and they get more exposure, and so they get a chance to play in the live tournaments, and they're playing at the right time against the right competition in front of all of the top coaches.
Let's go ahead and hop right into it, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself and 3 things you're grateful for. That's how we'll start it off.
So I am Robert Hunter, a founder of No Excuse Produced basketball program. 2 things I'm grateful for is waking up today and my family.
We got one more, 3 of them.
And I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be here on your podcast.
Lit, bro. And I appreciate your time, man. You could be doing a lot of other things, but you're taking the time out to share your knowledge and wisdom, man. And I don't take that lightly. So again, I want to take the time to like really dive into your story and how you got to where you are today. So I started off by asking a question. At what age or what grade did you realize that, dang, I actually want to play basketball in college?
Great question. So probably, well, at that age, I was probably delusional. I thought I wanted to play in the NBA, and that was probably 2nd or 3rd grade. And so I had delusional dreams, of course, like every young kid, of being an NBA player. But I realized probably later on in high school, that I would probably have an opportunity to play college ball, definitely. That's when I was more inspired to want to play college ball.
And when did that revelation come? Did you have a breakout game? Was there, coaches telling you that you had potential, or you just felt like, dang, I'm seeing kids out of my city go to play college and I'm better than them? Like, what was it exactly that was like, okay, like I can actually play at the next level?
Playing against players that were going to college in high school, and knowing that I could compete amongst some very great talent. I think that alone showed me that I can play at that level as well, at the college level, knowing that I've competed against guys who've gone on and played at that level.
Okay. And then, so take me back. So you're a high school kid. You're playing pickup or playing and practicing against guys who can play at the college level. How did that recruitment process start for you? So you realized, like, dang, I actually have a chance. What were the steps that you took to put yourself in that position? Did you play AAU? Were there exposure events that you went to? Like, take me through that whole process of like your high school years and how that went.
Sure. So when my coach kind of told me a lot about different opportunities that I would have a chance to play in college, I started preparing myself as a player to get better, to work on my game, on my own time. So I would have opportunities like playing in AAU tournaments. So I played for an AAU team and got a chance to travel and play against a lot of tough competition around the Midwest area. So the gym, I think it's called the Gym Rat tournament that they host in at Valparaiso, if I'm saying it correct, in Indiana. And so it also humbles you as well, too, when you play in those big time tournaments, because you realize that it's also some hell of a talent around the world, too, that are looking for college opportunities as well. So you kind of get humbled, and when you leave from, like, when I left from different AAU tournaments, it showed me that I got to work harder. It's a lot of players out here, and it's players that are better than me. So I got to get better. And I hope I answered your question. I didn't want to ramble.
No. For the most part, you had talked about how, one, your coach put you on to some opportunities, like, here are some schools that, potentially you could attend to. You talked about the AAU scene and getting that exposure, playing against better competition. I want you to dive deeper into the better competition aspect, because there are players nowadays where they'll play AAU but they're not necessarily playing in the top tier AAU. So there's like a misconception in the industry that if I'm playing AAU, I am playing against the best of the best, but that's not quite the case. So if you could, I guess, from your experience, talk about a little bit deeper into like AAU, and if you're, because I'm pretty sure it was similar, well, AAU was the landscape was different when we were in high school, but if you could dive a little bit into like, if you were to talk to a player today, why they should play AAU and what are some of the things that they should consider when they're choosing an AAU program or organization to go to?
Great question. So why kids should play AAU basketball is because outside of your high school season, right, you get a lot more games, and you get an opportunity to play in front of a lot of coaches that normally wouldn't get a chance to see you when you're playing for your local high school. So you would want to play an AAU ball to get more exposure as a player, because that's a way to improve your resume as a player, to get in front of a lot of coaches and show what you can do. And also it exposes what you can't do and what you need to work on. So when you play in the next tournament, you'll be more improved as a player. Now, picking an AAU program is very essential to your success as a player. So when you're picking an AAU team, I think you should look for a team that's going to give you more exposure, meaning that they're playing in the correct tournaments with all the college coaches and exposure that's available for you. If I'm making sense, it's very important in picking your AAU team wisely. You don't want to play for a team that's not playing in the right tournaments at the right time. And now, say for instance, you're not as good as you're probably going to be later. So maybe you may have to play in an AAU team that doesn't have all the exposure yet, but they have some exposure, and they're giving you like access to social media, and they're posting things about you, and highlight tapes and things like that are very good for you. But at some point, you want to play on a shoe circuit team if you want to be a Division I athlete, or a Division II athlete. Now, Division III, you can play for just about most AAU teams, but you're not going to get the exposure that you will get if you're playing for, say, an Under Armour, Nike, or Adidas team, which those teams, they are sponsored and they get more exposure, and so they get a chance to play in the live tournaments, and they're playing at the right time against the right competition in front of all of the top coaches.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's very crucial. And I love the fact that you had pointed out, like, know where you're at, because you might have to play on an air quote lower level AAU team. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you're getting those reps, and because you don't want to go and play for these big name teams and one, not make the team. So now you ain't even playing for an AAU team because you don't try it out for all these elite teams that didn't make it. Now you don't have a home. And two, yeah, you might make the team, but are you actually playing? Because that's the only way to get better, is to actually play.
And now your parents might be paying, but you are not playing. And that can't be fun for any young athlete. I think that would kill your confidence. So you kind of want to play at the level you're at, but you don't want to stay at that level. You want to work on your game and hire somebody like myself, or somebody like you that helps young athletes improve their skill level. I go to a lot of games and I see a lot of skill level lacking with young players, and they don't know that they have the cheat code to life with having people like myself, as well as you, to mentor them and help them with their skill level, so they can receive the opportunities and the results that they want to receive by putting in the work.
Right. And getting the information from coaches who have been there.
Sure.
And who understand, the ins and outs of how to process. So
now that is definitely major of what you just said, of accessing people that have gone to the level that you want to go to, and finding out what their journey was like to get there.
Word. So now, you played you played AAU, you played high school basketball. From what I can remember you telling me previously, and I would like you to share it, how was your high school basketball career? How was your high school basketball season? And how did the coaches actually find you? Like, how was that recruiting process? Did they reach out to you? Did you just apply online? Did they just show up to an AAU tournament? Like, take me through your high school seasons and how that went for you, and then how the coaches started contacting you and how you made your recruiting decision.
Now we're talking recruiting for college, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. So for college or high school season, starting first, my high school career was pretty fun. I played on a very successful team. Now, like I mentioned before, well, I didn't mention before, but this is the first time I'm speaking about it here, but lost my train of thought, but you got to get old too. But I didn't have all of the success that I wanted to have on a high school level, to kind of be honest with you. But I did star in my role. And so I'm all about winning. So if it takes me sacrificing my game for the ultimate team success, in that case, I was a very talented role player on a very successful team. But a lot of coaches that recruited me, to answer your question about recruitment, all of the coaches, they seen that I was a great teammate. I didn't go to the bench and pout because I was coming out of the game. I encouraged my teammates when they did something very good, like a highlight dunk or a layup or a big time play. I was very encouraging to my teammates because I knew the ultimate goal was winning. And so a lot of coaches that recruited me, and it's almost seemed like it was like a common theme of letters that I got from different coaches that were interested in me as a player and a person as well, is that they admired me being a champion and a winner, because we had a lot of success, won a lot of championships, a lot of tournaments, won our conference 3 seasons in a row. So coaches wanted me because they wanted to add a player to their team that knew what it takes to be a winner. Now, when I got to college later on, I'm fast forwarding, I'm probably a little bit too fast, but I was able to kind of unlock my superpowers of being more of one of the top 2 players on my team, and kind of being able to, be who I thought I could have been. And probably if I was on a team that sucked in high school, I'd have probably been able to score 20-some points, but not win many games. But I wouldn't have been happy with that. I would have been more happy probably if I could probably score more points and still win. But hey, it taught me a lot about life as well, of being a star in your role, whether you're a role player or a star player. The ultimate goal is, do we have more points than the other team at the end of the game? And how did I help impact winning for my team?
Yeah, that's a major key, man. Especially a lot of players struggle with that, because in high school, they were that guy. They were the person taking 15, 16 shots a game, and then they get to the next level. We're fast forwarding just a little bit, but they get to the college level and they're not that guy. They're only taking 3, 4 shots a game. And it's frustrating because they don't understand how to play a role other than being a scorer.
Sure.
So,
we both have seen, sorry to cut you off, but I'm sure we both have seen a lot of those type of players that maybe they were, I wouldn't say that they were better than we were at the high school level, but maybe they had more, more shine, more, flexibility to score a lot of points.
had that green light.
Yeah, the green light, ultra green light, right? But when you get to the college level, you're on a team with a lot of guys who had the ultra green light, right? And so how do you separate yourself from that amongst those guys and get to that next level? Because it is the next level that you have to get to when you get to college. It's not how it was in high school. So the game's played faster. It's more competitive. It's more talent. And so I did love that about college, that I was able to kind of be who I thought I could have been in high school as a player. And so I was able to kind of fulfill that kind of part of my basketball journey of being a star player.
What they say is true. Patience is a virtue, man. Play a role until your role changes, man. That's the key. I want to rewind back just a little bit, because you were talking about you were excelling in your role, your team was winning games, and you had mentioned that you started getting letters. Kind of dive into, because there's some players, and I actually fell into this, I don't want to say trap, but I actually assumed that I was being recruited because I was receiving college questionnaires, not actually letters saying, hey, we want you. So can you talk about that process and how that went? Like, schools are sending you letters. What's in these letters? How did you decide? How did you commit? Was it a verbal commitment? Was it a letter of intent? Kind of talk to me about that segment of the process.
Sure, definitely. So yeah, it's definitely a big difference of informal letters from colleges versus actual recruiting letters. So an information letter is probably when you enter your email on a college that you're interested website, and so they'll flood you with all the information about the school. Doesn't mean that they know anything about you as a person or a player. They're just interested in new students, new enrollment. Now, the difference in a college recruiting letter, it'll be more catered to you with your name in it. And also the coach would be scheduling, a date and time to meet you and and discuss, what their college has to offer, because they're recruiting you not only as an athlete, but as a student first as well. If it's a good coach, if they just care about your talent, then that's a red flag that you probably should look at your other options.
Let's park it right there. Red flags. Let's talk about, because that's one of the things that I share with a lot of my players is like, you have to understand what you want out of a college and out of that college experience before you even start looking and sifting through offers. Because if you don't know what you want, you can go to any shiny object, any contract, any scholarship that's any school's hanging in front of you, you're going to take it. So like, for you as a player, what were some of the things that you were considering before you actually chose the school?
Things that I considered, and like I told my players as well when I coached college, is that I decided in my mind, I'm going to go to the place that I feel the most wanted. Meaning that I feel like the school really wants me to be there. They're recruiting me. I'm at the top, of their priority list with recruitment. And you can kind of sense those things if you're not. And so those type of schools that I didn't feel like I was a priority to, I didn't give much interest. I gave the same energy that they gave of interest, and I looked elsewhere where I was more wanted. That's very important among your process, and you'll see the signs that you're wanted, that a college coach is figuring out your transportation to get to the school for the visit, that coach is taking you around, the college campus or the city that you're going to be living in, because some players play in town. I was a player that played out of town, and so that's a whole different transition of environment as well, of getting over homesickness and stuff like that, of being away from your comfort zone and getting more comfortable with being uncomfortable, as well.
Okay, dope. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because those I see it all the time. A kid just, hey, this school offered me, they're giving me some money. They go to the school. Man, I hate it up there. It's cold. If they're from down south, it's cold up there. I'm not getting the playing time I want. And it's like, those are red flags that you probably could have sifted out, beforehand.
Sure.
So let's transition. You're in college, you have a great career in college. What now? Because I know I went through a similar situation where it's like, I was grateful enough to be able to play professional basketball, not a super long career, but I was able to play. But after that, I'm like, what now? Like, I live, breathe, eat, sleep basketball. So, talk to me about that life transition after that ball stopped bouncing collegiately and then so on afterwards.
Sure. So when the ball stopped bouncing, for me, I started coaching, but I didn't know that I wanted to be a coach. So I started working camps, probably still when I was a player. So I was already kind of transitioning to my next career, but I didn't know it. So I was coaching camps, and I really enjoyed to see young people obtain the success I did as a young player, and that was like winning, having success. So in camps, like my teams like won a lot because I'm competitive, but another winning part of that process is seeing kids get better 1% every day. So I got a joy out of that. after basketball, and I said, I'm going to work some of these camps. I just got to find a way to be around basketball because I love it so much. And and I know I'm saying the same thing, but I love to see, I love to pass on the that I learned along my journey to help others. Now, when I was working camps and directing camps, different Nike camps and stuff like that, a lot of parents after the camps were asking me, could I train their kid? Now, I had no clue about the training business. I wasn't even thinking about it. I just love being around around basketball or around the game. So I started doing that and stumbled upon, wait, I can still be around basketball and make this a career. And so what I did was I fired my job of working in the middle schools and I hired my family. So I started working for my family and allocating more time to homeschooling my son and my daughter, being around my family more, and being able to create my own schedule and still being able to be around the game of basketball, which is a sport I love and I'm always be around it, for the rest of my life. Because that was my first love as a kid. And so that's kind of how I transitioned into my next career outside of basketball when the air, left the basketball. For me, I added more air to the basketball for the youth. And so that was my transition of, moving passing the torch to the youth and helping them get to, their destinations along their journey that they want to get to and helping them, achieve the results, but also giving them the realistic, stories along my journey that could help their journey. And maybe, they'll create their own stories and they'll pass the game over, pass the torch as well later on when the air runs out for them.
Yeah, facts. Each one teach one, man. That's the goal. So let's say as we start to come to a close, let's say one of your players, 12 years old, he's, decent fundamentals, he got some potential. What are some of the things that you're going to be consistently telling him to make sure that he's ready for the recruiting process? Like, because he's 7th, 8th grade, so he's going to start looking for AAU teams. He's thinking about exposure camps. He's heard about, hey, what's this CP3 hoops, CP3 elite camp? Like, hey, what's this made hoops tournament? Like, so what are some of the things you're going to advise him along his journey? Loaded question, I know.
Yeah.
Very loaded.
So first and foremost is to get 1% better every day. Work on your skill level. Connect with, like I already mentioned before, connect with the people that have gone to the places you want to go to. So figure out or find a way to connect with those people, but work on your game every day. Outwork the competition. When everybody else is sleeping, you're up early in the morning getting shots up. The way that you're going to get to where you want to go is separating yourself from the competition by outworking everybody. Now, that's easier said than done. A lot of kids, they rather, sleep in, sleep late. But keep that in mind when you're on the court and that guy's killing you, that's in front of you, because he's working harder than you, then that's telling you something. If you're not where you want to be, then go put the work in first and foremost, before we even talk about colleges or you, the player that you want to be, the best version of yourself yet, right? So you got to get to that point first. Now, when you get to the level of where now you can start being recruited, say you're on a lower level AAU team, and now you're going to tournaments and you're the MVP of the tournament and you're the best player on the court or one of the top 2 or 3 players on the court. Now you can start the recruitment process. Actually starts a little bit earlier now for kids. I think it always kind of started probably 5th grade, around that age, around 5th grade, but you got to kind of build your resume so you can kind of get invited to like the Chris Paul camps, in high school, to get invited to the Iverson All-Star game and the McDonald's All-American game. But that starts with you putting that 1% in every day and seeing what that adds up over time. And now a lot of guys, they just, they do a little bit here, a little bit there. They shoot around here and there, and then they come back during the season and wonder why they average 3 point, whatever. But you got to take a look in the mirror and say, am I doing what I need to do, to get to where I want to go, and be realistic with yourself. If you're not seeing the results that you want to see, you got to take ownership of that yourself. And I hope I answered your question.
No, for sure. And I'm happy that you stayed where you did, because that's a lot of players want the recruiting advice and want to get promoted to schools and all that. And it's like, bro, you got to crawl before you walk, dog. You got to love the gym. You have to love the grind. Because if you don't love the grind, it don't matter where you go, what school you go to, you're not going to last long. Just keep it a buck. You're just not going to last, even if you are skilled and talented. I've seen players, D1, coach at a D3 school. Quick story, I won't put his name out there. D1 transfer, came to our school, but he wasn't a gym rat, which makes sense. He went from D1 to D3, and we didn't know why. But after seeing his work ethic, we're like, it makes sense. He hates practice. He hates being in the gym. He's not going to last long. Sure enough, a couple weeks into the season, he quits. And it's like, you have to love the gym, because you're going to end up hating your coach. Your teammates are going to end up getting on your nerves. And you're at the high school level or at the college level. It doesn't matter. If you're not working on your game, it doesn't matter who connects you with who to get into where. If you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Simple as that.
Right. You got to separate yourself from the competition. Now, a lot of guys, they get that ultra green light in high school, and maybe, they are one of the best players at their high school, but how many players are there in the country? And are you competing against those guys year round in different AAU tournaments and putting yourself in a position to compete with those guys? Also, another cheat code as well is when you're playing in those AAU tournaments is to kind of talk amongst your peers, find out what they're doing, because it's a new era. I know our era, people didn't really give away different skills of how to work on their game for competitive edges, which was dumb if you ask me. But talk amongst your peers, figure out, the top players, what are they doing to become the top players? It's very important that you find out what those things are that you can do to get to where you want to go. Because you're right, guys will go to college, and I've seen it as well. Countless guys they were a problem in high school. They were unstoppable, got to college, and they didn't separate themselves because everything was they were spoon-fed in high school because they were very talented, but they're not a higher priority in college because they don't put the work in. And so you still got to continue to work even harder when you get to the next level, or you won't stay at the next level.
Simple as that. It's really as simple as that. So any final words, man? So definitely shout out your brand and where people can find you and where you're at. And then any last words you have for any, high school players or even middle school players who are looking to get recruited. Go ahead and bring us home.
Yeah, so if you guys are looking for one of the best basketball programs in the world, then look no further than No Excuse Produce. I mean, we start at whatever level you're on. Now, we do get players that are very talented players, and we help them get to the next level that they want to get to, whatever that next level is for them. Also, we work with the kid that maybe they got cut from their team, and they're not where they want to be, but we help them, get to the results. Now, that doesn't happen in 1 month or 3 months. That may be a year-round process. That may be a whole year. I've had kids that, they didn't make the team, for whatever reasons. But now that I had a kid who's made his team, not only made his team, but now he's starting for varsity. But he understood that for this whole year, for 2 or 3 times out of the week, I got to get 1% better. And even when I'm not training on my own time, I got to take the things away from my training session and work on those things on my own time. And I still got to get 1% better every day. So if you're doing that, that'll equal up to the results that you want. Now, you can find us. We're located, if you're looking for one of the best training programs in the world, we're located in Worcester County area. So that's Worcester. Our main location is Worcester, Massachusetts, at 215 East Mountain Street. If you're looking to call us, that's at 508-682-5830. Now, our website and all that stuff, everything's online. What you see on the board right now, if you type that in on Google, you'll find, all the information we have online. And so we have a marketing team and all that stuff. So if you're in Massachusetts, I'm pretty sure you've seen our stuff. If you haven't, then our marketing team got to do a better job, right? But right now they're doing an amazing job. Also, I'm honored that you took the time out of your day, to give me your platform to talk to the youth, because I think this is going to be very essential to young players if they take the information that they need to take from this conversation and apply it to their journey in basketball, and they'll get to where they want to get to. So thank you.
Nah, man, thank you again for your time. And like you said, all of this means nothing if they don't take the resources and do something with it. Bringing empowerment and skills together. We can empower you, but you got to take those skills and bring it together to go ahead and achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. So again, man, you definitely dropped some gems in here, dog. So I appreciate you sharing. And if y'all ain't reached out to No Excuse Produce yet, man, now's your chance, because spots is filling up fast. So I better get in that lab.
Yeah, definitely, man.
All right, man. We're gonna go ahead and head out of here. I'll send you a copy of this so you'll have it. But yeah, man, I appreciate you, man. Have a blessed one, dog.
And you do the same. Thank you.